I don't know the answer.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Secrets Within. I'm your host, Reeni. Tonight, I have a very, very special guest. Actually, it's my daughter. And we are going to talk about children and the paranormal, basically what it's like to raise a child in the paranormal. I know this. I do want to say that she is a medium, but tonight we are not going to ask her for any readings. I don't allow that. So we're just going to try to be respectful. And then, like I said, if you have any questions, we will be happy to answer them. So let's bring my lovely daughter, Torgan, to the show. Hi, Torgan.
Hi.
All right, so I have her on mute real quick. And she's sitting in front of me, and I just kind of I'm trying to help her out here. So we're going to start with a little story about how Torgan got started in the paranormal. And she's super excited. And I do want to say that I'm not going to show her face. She's young, so we're not going to show her face. So anyways, I'm going to start with exactly what happened, and then she can chime in. So when she was about 3 years old, and this kind of really is not a funny story, but in a way it kind of was. She would not sleep in her bedroom because she was afraid of what looked like a mommy rabbit, or that's what she described it to me. So she refused to sleep in her room because she was always claiming that this mommy rabbit was just, I don't really even know what it really did. So as a parent, I kind of didn't know what she was going through because, she's little. They can't really describe, what's happening. So I would, and this is kind of funny, and she can even say that this did happen. I karate chopped a imaginary, because I didn't see it, an imaginary bunny throughout the course of my house. And it was always upstairs. And she's like, "Can I sleep with you? That bunny's back in my room again." And I did. I don't know. I'm kung-fuing this, this bunny, or what she claimed as a bunny. Because I think, as when they're little, they don't understand exactly what they're seeing. It was hard because it's like I didn't see what she was seeing at that point. But Torgan, do you want to kind of describe what you were seeing?
Yeah. So it all started in a dream, actually. So basically the dream started out, I was in the car with this one woman, and she was my babysitter. And she drove me to her house, and went in there, and then we went upstairs, and then she opened a chest. And then she dressed up as a rabbit and then started hopping everywhere. It freaked me out. And I thought it was like watching me from like my roof. I was so scared. My dad had to keep knocking on it. My mom had to like karate chop it. It was terrifying. I could never sleep in that room. I would always see it, and I just couldn't do anything about it.
Okay, sorry. I'm trying to mute her, and like I said, she's in front of me. So, again, she says that it started out with a dream, and we had a paranormal team come in. As most of you guys know Robert. He came in. She wasn't there. He kind of explained to us that it technically it was actually her that was bringing in things into the house. And you got to remember, kids, they always say that kids can sense a little bit more than, adults can, because if you think about it, their little minds, like, they open up to everything. They're like little sponges. And I know that I've read some articles and they're like, well, it's kind of one of those things, like, it's all in their mind. They need some medication because it's really not there. And I kind of want to say that, to me, that's just, excuse my language, Torgan, is total bullshit. Only because as paranormal investigators, we know that, like, children, they do know what's going on, and they can sense more than what I can, or, another medium can. The only issue that I have is when they're that little, it's really hard. Like, my little 4-year-old has an imaginary friend named Paxton, and we still can't figure out where Paxton came from. So, of course, we validate everything that our children, say, especially now that Torgan, is at this age where she can communicate with us. Because I will tell you that we lived in a house in Minnesota, and that was like the worst experience. I think we were there maybe 2 years.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful lake property. Has been in my family like forever. It was like just a dream come true because we loved it. We loved the country life. And it all started out fine. But I will tell you this, it became a nightmare, absolute nightmare. And it wasn't just what Torgan was experiencing. It was also what we were experiencing. And it got to the point that none of us even would sleep upstairs in the bedrooms. And I know Torgan's got some really cool experiences of that house that I would really like her to share. And like I said, she's still kind of learning about her gifts. She's actually helped out at a gallery reading before, which I thought was really amazing. But it's not something that, I just go and book, by the way. She got a really cool opportunity. I thought we were just going to kind of see what a galaxy tonight, a gallery reading was all about, so she could kind of experience, what that was like. But like I said, she, what comes to her, we can't control it. And I will say this, she is really good at reading minds, which is something that we do have to tell her that she's not allowed to do. But anyways, let's get back to some of the experiences that you were experiencing when we were living at the lake.
Okay, so one of the things I saw was like a big footprint. Like, it was huge. And I know you were in the bathroom. I was like, hey, Mom, look, it's a big footprint. And you were actually really shocked. So I was honestly a little scared, but I didn't really think much of it because I didn't really, like, think I believed in spirits that much. I wasn't really that into it. I was kind of like, had mixed feelings about it. So that was one of them. Another experience I had was in my parents' bedroom. I could see like this old man in a rocking chair with like overalls and this like red kind of shirt, like a long sleeve, a farmer hat, and he was like peeling potatoes. And then we had a room next to that, and like that's where my dad's gun case was, and we didn't have like much stuff in there. It was pretty much empty. I saw this like kid running around, and like he had like white hair. It kind of like rolled up, kind of like in the like 19th century kind of stuff. I don't really know, but he was like wearing this like weird kind of outfit, kind of looked like George Washington's outfit, but like he was just like running around in circles, and I was terrified. Like, that freaked me out so much because I honestly thought there was an actual kid in the house. That's all I have for now.
Okay, so the guy that she's talking about in the rocking chair was actually my great grandpa. That was his land, and he loved to peel potatoes. And I will tell you this, an experience that I had while I was there, and she was at school, because we just her and I were basically there by ourselves because my significant other was obviously, he was still living in Illinois at the time, which, mind you, we moved back to Illinois, so that's so great. But anyways, he was in Illinois at the time working because, well, this house is an old house. So again, we always like to try to debunk what we're experiencing. But there was just some things that she just couldn't debunk. And I remember, and I will tell you this, she was at school. And I did find out that I was pregnant at the time. I have 2 wonderful children. I really do. But again, I went ahead and I remember putting my hand on the steering wheel. I'm like, oh, this is such a bad time. And I'm sitting there crying. And the guy that she described in the rocking chair was my great grandpa. And he's like, you know what? You're a lot stronger than you think you are. You can manage this. Everything is going to work out. So again, it wasn't a person that she would have met. I had my great grandparents until I was about 16 years old. So the guy upstairs in the rocking chair, because he loved that rocking chair, it was him. And it's hard for her to, it's not like she's ever technically seen a picture of him. It wasn't like that. Like I was like, oh, here, read me this picture. Like I said, she was very partial to a tree that we had there. And I don't know, to this day, she still is very much partial to that tree. And she's not, anybody that knows my daughter knows that she is like a big girly girl. So it's kind of one of those things where she's climbing this tree because she just absolutely loves this tree for some odd reason. So anyways, that was just the beginning of it. We also had to realize that we raised coonhounds. And I do know that one night her and I had a dog, and it was not our dog. We were actually training somebody else's dog. And mind you, Torgan is a wonderful dog trainer, by the way. But we had somebody else's dog that we were training. I'm not 110% sure why we had him, but we did. I don't know if he couldn't train him or whatever the deal was. And I remember her and I out in the woods, and all we could hear is like drums beating. And we're like, okay, we did know that it was Native American land. That was something that we did know. But that, to us, it scared us. And but let's get into something else. So, Torgan, I'm going to ask you something. What about the paranormal do you love so much?
Well, what I love about it is because, like I can see a lot of things that no one else can see, and I could help people with it. I could help the spirit go to where they need to be instead of just like sitting around thinking that they're not dead. Like, it would just be nice for them just to like live their life freely and just go to heaven and just have a good time instead of just staying here on earth forever, which after a while it gets really exhausting. And it's just like a really cool gift to have because you can help people with it as well. And I would love to be a demonologist one day.
A demonologist. That's interesting to say, to say the least. I don't know how I feel about that. As you can tell, I've let her watch a lot of Conjuring movies recently, so that's kind of where we're at. And I'm not one of those moms that usually lets their kids watch scary movies. Now, as we're speaking, I know she just seen something, but would you like to tell us what you just seen?
I honestly did not see something. I just keep hearing stomping. It's probably my brother.
Okay, she had that look. And I know, and I will tell you this, we all know that I collect haunted dolls. And she actually is my go-to. I'm like, Torgan, can you give me like a reading on this doll? And she's really, really good at it. But and the reason why I brought this up is because there is one place in particular that she wants to go that I personally just don't want to go. So, Torgan, you want to tell us where you want to go?
It is a island of like haunted dolls because it's in Mexico City. There's like dolls hanging around on trees, and it just like since mom has like a lot of haunted dolls, I would just like, okay, you know what? I had experience. Why not like literally go to an island full of haunted dolls and just like look around because it just sounds like really cool.
Not really what I was going for. But I will tell you this. When I was at Wilson Castle, I actually did give her a tour I was on FaceTime with her because obviously I when I'm not home and I'm on an investigation or something, I really do like to FaceTime my family because maybe, and Turgan will tell you this, like I can micromanage from anywhere with these guys. But I do know that we actually, I don't know if you picked up anything while we were at Wilson Castle. Do you know if you did? Okay, she said no. Okay, so what do you want parents to know about children in the paranormal?
What I would like, wait, what was the question again? I forgot already.
What do you want parents to know about kids in the paranormal?
That it's okay that your child is seeing things because you can't really do anything about it. You just have to deal with it, and it would be good to know what they're seeing and hearing because it's going to help a lot because you can give them advice. And don't say that they can't see or hear what they actually are because like they can't control what happens, and it's just like it also builds a relationship with your child, and it's good to build a relationship because one day when they move out you probably will never talk to them again, so it's like really good just to like know what they're talking about and like understand them. It's going to help a lot.
Okay, that makes sense. I will say again, now these days, I do validate what you're saying. But there is something that I've talked about on a couple shows that I've had, and it's about a lady that she sees, and I kind of want you guys to be a little bit open-minded because she has never seen the movie The Ring. So that's why I find this a little odd. And Torgan, could you explain to us what she looks like and when she comes to you and maybe why she comes to you?
So I see her every day, and she has really pale skin. She has like really long, dark hair in front of her face, and it's not like it's like split. She has like split ends, and her head will just be looking at me. It could just twist a little bit and look at me. And when I saw her, it really scared me. But like I see her every day, and I've talked to people about it. They say it's just because I'm stressed, but that really wouldn't make sense because I'm not stressed every day, and I see her every day. And everyone is telling me that I should get rid of her, which I've tried methods. They worked for a little bit, and then they just stopped working. She just follows me everywhere.
Now, when you say that she follows you everywhere, and I know, do you always have spirits that follow you? I mean, do you see them every day, or do you know how to shut them off? I mean, what do you usually do?
I don't see them every day, but when I do, I help them. But sometimes they come at times where I can't possibly help them. Like I could be literally doing a test, and they'll be like screaming my name. I'm just like, it's not the right time. Come to me later, please. I'm really busy. I wish I could help, but I can't right now. But like they sometimes come at midnight, and I'm just like, okay, we'll talk about this in the morning. Just come to me in the morning. Sometimes I learned this method by Robert. So he told me I could open and close the book, which is like if you open the book, it means you're allowing spirits to come to you for help. But if you close the book, then it means they won't be able to come to you. I'm kind of struggling to remember to open the book, but I've just been thinking about it more lately, and it's actually really been helping a lot. It's a really good message.
That actually does sound like a really good method, and it's a method that we've always been preaching to her too. Like, you know, and we all know, like, sometimes you can't, kids, it's hard for them to turn it off because they don't understand. Like, for an example, if they go into a store, because I do know that when she was little, and she's like, I know what that person's thinking, like that person's not well, or, so on and so forth. And we always have to remember that we can't have a child running up and telling them, because not everybody believes, in, a child having abilities. And like I said, it's hard. It's hard to raise a child that has abilities. Both of us, not because she's wrong or I'm wrong. It's just, again, we all know that the information that she may get is not the information that I may get, or vice versa. And I think that's, the hard. This loved one in this house, and it's really scaring him or her. And all I can say is, you're either going to have a conversation with your child and say, okay, you have the power, if they're able to do that, and tell them that it's not, not to be afraid, either engage or don't engage. But on that note, I am going to take us to break really quickly.
We are living in rapidly changing times that can leave you wondering what steps to take next. Let Christina Bloom, spiritual advisor, help you find the clarity you need to move forward with confidence. Christina is a psychic with more than 20 years of experience in spiritual guidance and mediumship. She can help you find the answers when you have important decisions to make. In addition, she also facilitates past and other life explorations and soul retrievals. For more information on Christina's services, as well as her extensive list of classes, please visit her website at ChristinaBloom.com. That's ChristinaBloom.com. To make an appointment or to book Christina now, send her an email, Christina@ChristinaBloom.com. That's Christina@ChristinaBloom.com.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for returning. I am here with my lovely daughter, and we were talking about children and the paranormal. And now I don't remember what I was saying because I took us to break, but I guess it doesn't matter. We'll just move on. So anyways, again, it's not easy, like I said, to validate everything that she's feeling, because sometimes, each and every one of us have our own gifts. And she can do things that I can't do, and I could do things that she can't do. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Like, she's good, I mean, at remote viewing, okay? And I know that she's helped a friend of ours a couple times. Excuse me, I got the hiccups now. A couple times with a couple things. It's not something that I don't usually just, it sounds really crappy to say it like this, but I usually don't loan her out. And, usually if she needs some help with something, or somebody needs some help with something, I'm usually very picky about who she can help and what she can do. And like I said, she's not ready to be thrown out into the world. But like I said, there's a lot of parents who will brush this off and they will take their children to a psychiatrist and say, well, my kid is supposedly seeing this stuff. And, they may not believe in the paranormal, but at the end of the day, this kid is always going to see it, whether they're on medication, all that other kind of stuff. So I guess the big thing is when you have a child who has abilities, how do you exactly help them? Honestly, I just validate everything that she tells me. Like I said, just because I don't feel it, I don't see it, doesn't mean that she's not. Another thing is children will have imaginary friends. Like I said, my 4-year-old has a lovely imaginary friend named Paxton, and I like to call him a receiver. And the reason I say that is because usually if my house needs to be saged or something is going to be in my house that's probably not supposed to be there, whether it be in a day, a couple days, he will always give me the sage and say, here, mommy, it's sage time. And, I'm not one to sage my house all the time, but he is, for being 4, he knows how to sage. Either, I sage so much that my smoke detectors go off. And my kids will tell you that. And I do want to say, I do want to ask Torgan, I should say, do you use any stones or anything else, as far as protection goes?
Yes, I do, because I believe that it can get negative energy away from me, and I honestly find them really pretty and really cool to collect, and they just sound really good for not just stuff like that, but if you're feeling sad or happy, they're kind of mood changers. They can help. It's really cool, actually. I'm into it.
Okay. And I know she does. She carries some of it in her book bag, and I have a friend that makes some really cool jewelry as well. So he sends us all that really cool stuff, for obviously for protection. And she's always been like that. Now, I will say that I was that mom who, at one point, she wanted this little deck of tarot cards. It's like a little keychain, and they're so tiny. They're maybe this big, the cards are. And she had to have them. So I went ahead and I got them. Okay. And I can't remember what birthday I got them, probably 2 birthdays ago. It's not something that she could play with. Okay. And I did have a friend who sent her some tarot cards last year on her birthday. And she is kind of one of those things. I don't think that she is of age to play with those. I don't let her play with pendulums. Not any spirit boards. I'm sure you guys can hear her. She's in front of me. Or any of that. And the only reason I say that is because she is not equipped to do it. She does not know the rules. Even though that I could sit down and I can, do it, show her how to do it appropriately. Because I know that sometimes she is super into that stuff, but I'm not ready for that. And I don't feel that she's ready for it at anytime soon. And I'm not saying just because your kid's a medium or, interested in any of all this stuff, I'm not saying rush out and buy them, the stuff that I bought my daughter. I think some things are age appropriate. Stones are age appropriate. I do believe that they are great protectors. Just depends on, what stones, fit your needs. I mean, we could be here all day, if I do that. Again, I know sometimes she still sleeps with the night light on, and I will tell you why. The lady in the black that she sees, and she's not a very stressed out child. She's a very happy-go-lucky child. And the only problem is some things still scare her. And there's nothing wrong with that. Because again, we're talking about a child. You can have a 16-year-old that could go into a location and they can still be scared. As adults, I think sometimes we can still be scared. But but it's kind of one of those things. So I do know when she gets older, she does plan on being on a paranormal team. But I know that she loves to travel. But I guess what I really, really want to know, and I already know the answer to it, but maybe you guys don't. Obviously, you guys don't. But what is it that you want to do in the paranormal? Do you just want to give readings, or what do you want to do?
I want to give readings. I want to be a paranormal investigator, and I also want to be a demonologist.
What makes you want to be a demonologist?
Okay, so I've been watching The Conjuring and like Annabelle and stuff, those movies, and Ed and Lorraine Warren just sound like really awesome people, and I really look up to them. Like, they are amazing. I would love to be them.
Well, unfortunately, she does, as you know, she does not know that they are, deceased. Again, it's kind of one of those things. I do own those books, and again, I don't explain everything to her, but I do want to ask her really quickly. I do know that her papa, her grandpa, we called him Papa. I do know that he occasionally does come to her. Now, I guess my question would be, when he comes to you, what do you guys talk about?
Well, he sometimes tells me, like, if I fail a test, like specifically math, he's like, it's gonna be okay. Just tell your mom. She's probably gonna be really mad, but she'll get over it, And like, he's like, you're doing great in life. How's middle school going, by the way? I'm doing great in heaven. All your pets are perfectly safe. And I'm just like, thank you. And I'm just like, is everyone good? Like, everyone. And he's like, definitely.
Okay. I can't help but laugh because it is funny. It's not, because I do know that her and her papa were really, really close. And I do know that she had a horse named Outlaw, her very first horse. And I know that she gets concerned because he passed away. And I know that she gets concerned, even though she knows that he's okay. That he's okay, and she's, like I said, she still cries about it. And I think it's just one of those abilities that she doesn't have, where she can't communicate with animals. And there's nothing wrong with that. Not everybody's got that ability, because I do know that at one point when my Chihuahua died, I was looking for an animal communicator. And again, I always want to know if my pets are okay. So I guess, Torgan, I'm going to ask you, is there anything that you want anybody to know about kids and the paranormal?
So, being part of the paranormal is okay. You're not crazy, because people see things, and sometimes you can't control it. Even if you take medicine or whatever, it's not going to help. You're going to have to either manage it or just going to stay there, but you're just going to have to do something about it, or it's going to stay there for a really long time, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's completely okay and normal.
Okay. You can tell she's my daughter, because I was like, it's okay. And completely, and you can tell she's mine. Anyways, I'm having tons of fun with her. But I will tell you this. It's not easy. It's not easy raising a child that has abilities. And I'll tell you why. When they're younger, they're scared of everything. To this day, like I said, she's still scared of everything. And I think I've told you guys that. Okay. And again, their ability is, I cannot help her in the way that I should be able to help her. So I actually have to outsource to somebody that I trust to help her become the person that she needs to be. Now, she does have the option to close it and just close it off. I mean, like I said, she has extracurricular activities. She's got homework. she's got all that fun stuff to do. So she doesn't always get the option of saying, hey, let's just have a conversation with, the spirit, down the road. And that's hard. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, we'll take her to a haunted location, And I just don't think that she's ready. That's not something that she's technically ready for. And I don't think she'd be ready for that for, I don't know, maybe when I'm dead. And then, that's that. But I'm not ready for her to dive into that. Because at the same time, she still can get hurt. And like you heard her say, she wants to become a demonologist. And, that's a lot of studying. And that's, like I said, I was guilty. I let her watch The Conjuring. And now she wants to become a demonologist. And me personally, I don't agree with that, but I can't tell her when she's 18 that she can't do it. And I think that's a great goal for herself and that she set for herself. But that's still a lot of training. And she doesn't know that she could get hurt. Now, another thing. And I've also had to explain this to her. Sometimes, even though that she thinks, and this was a lot, when she was talking to Papa, we had to make sure that it really was Papa, because otherwise something could come in and say, oh, hey, I'm Papa, and I sound like him, and I look like him, and it's all fine, and it's all dandy. So, and that's another thing. Like, I didn't say, hey, go summons your Papa and have a conversation. That is not something that we allow in our home. If they come, that's great. But I will tell you this. There was a time that a lot of spirits were following her home. And I always tell her she's kind of like a lighthouse, and it just kind of blinks. And they're like, oh, that's great. Now they're coming over. She kept them in her upstairs bathroom. It was like a tilt-a-whirl in there. And I was like, I sent a friend of mine a message and I said, we're going to have to deal with this because I don't know how she keeps them in there, but she did. I mean, I don't know what she was planning on doing with them. And just, and I think part of it was my problem because I I collect on dolls. We know this. We let these spirits kind of roam our house. And I think she thought, well, it's, my mom does it, she can keep these guys here. So, maybe it's time, I'll just kind of start collecting them and keeping them in the bathroom. How she contained them in there, that I will never know. And that I don't think she even knows. I mean, could you don't even know how you did that? Yeah, she doesn't know how she did that. But like I said, it's not something that I would recommend, don't keep them because, and then another thing is trying to explain to them about moving on. And everybody has different religious beliefs and that's their business. And I'm not going to get into that. But there's a way that we want, Torgan to help somebody cross over, or, go to wherever they need to go. And also, we also have to explain to her that sometimes the only reason that they're coming is because they want to talk. They want their story told. And that's another thing. Sometimes I will tell you this, it's a conversation, Tori and I just had, a couple days ago too. It's hard because you could be in the middle of doing something totally just, whether it be cooking dinner or just sitting here reading a book or something. It's like, not today. And I think that's hard. And like I said, I always have somebody else teach her something because I will say that I can do a lot of things, but teaching her about it is really, really hard. But I will say we were on our way to dinner tonight and she didn't catch something that my little one did. And I thought this was kind of cool. We were going past a cemetery. This is weird. I can't even say it's weird. It's just to me, a very creepy cemetery. And we live in a very small town. And, so they always have those weird outrageous kind of cemeteries, just kind of like in the middle of nowhere. It just happens. So we're going, through country roads to get something to eat, because we only have like a Burger King, 10 miles down the road. So all of a sudden my son sees the cemetery and he goes, look at all that family there. And I'm thinking to myself, we don't have any family there, but he is seeing something that that I'm not seeing and that she's not picking up. And I think that to me was really kind of cool because he's only 4 and he's like, and I'm thinking to myself, that's awesome because he's already starting to see things and she didn't pick it up, So to me, that was very interesting. And it had nothing to do with her and it had nothing to do with me. It just, it was kind of interesting unless you did see something at the cemetery.
No, but I can just sense it.
And
something bad really happened to that family.
I'm going to let her explain that to you real quick.
Okay, so while my mom was talking about that, I just had the urge to cry because one of them, not sure why I felt this, but one of them got hanged from suicide.
Got what?
One of them hanged themselves to commit suicide.
Okay, so again, she kind of threw the ball on that one on me, but you have to remember the way that she sees things, the way my 4-year-old sees things, and the way I see things is completely different. Now, I'm going to ask you this, Torgen. When a spirit shows itself to you, do they show you technically how they died? Do they go through the motions of it, or they just want to explain it to you?
It kind of depends on the spirit, because sometimes they show up and they want me to read them, so I'm just like, oh, okay, let me read you for a second. Or sometimes they'll just randomly pop up and they're like, hey, Torgen, let me tell you this, and then they just tell me, and then I'm just like, oh, I'm gonna go tell my mom now.
Okay, and I guess this is where I want to ask you. So let's go back to somebody that may have committed suicide. Do they show you how they committed suicide?
Okay, for some reason I'm seeing like a basement or like an attic kind of thing. It was an attic.
And like I said, she's not reading anything. I was just asking her a question because sometimes I know it depends on, like, again, she can see something that I may not see. I may see something that she may not see. And I want to know how she sees them, how she perceives it. And maybe they do show her that, or maybe they just tell her the story of how it's happened. Now, let me ask you this. When I have you read one of my dolls, okay, and I'm not going to have you read one now because you already know all their stories. But when I ask you to do that, do they show you what their spirit looks like?
Well, sometimes they tell me. If they tell me, then I don't know what their spirit looks like. But if they're like, hey, can you read me? I'll be like, yeah. And then when I see what happens to them, I can see their spirit.
Now, I guess, do you see them wandering around the house? You like see spirits wandering around the house, like maybe what we have? Because I know the other night, you said to us, well, you said to me, I seen this woman walk into Aunt Rachel's bedroom. Do you want to kind of describe how that happened?
Okay, so I don't know what I was doing, but I was doing something on my bed, and I have a bunk bed, so I'm on the top. And my head just lifted up. Whenever I see a spirit and I'm looking down, for some reason I just have the urge to lift my head up. Anyways, I saw this like black figure, and I could sense it was a woman, and she would just kind of like, I don't remember, like she was just kind of like running, and she ran to my Aunt Rachel's room, and then just disappeared. And a lot of things run into her room.
I find that quite interesting. A lot of things run into my sister-in-law's room. I don't know. That'd be interesting to find out later on and investigate. Now, do you use any other tools while you're investigating, or do you just use what you're seeing?
Well, so like I said, sometimes things want me to read and like their story. So I'll see their spirits and what was the question again? I forgot again.
Poor kid, she's trying so hard. So anyways, I know she's getting frustrated and there's no reason to be frustrated. And I know that she's trying really hard. And for her to be 11 years old and try to be on this radio show when she can and describe what she sees is that's hard. So anyways, I'm going to cut this short tonight. No, I'm sorry. I'm going to take us out to our final break really quickly. I don't know why I said I'm going to cut this short. I'm going to take our final break really quickly and then we'll move on because we only got like 15 minutes left.
Meet Nicole Strickland. One of the leading San Diego paranormal researchers, Nicole offers a gentle and humble approach to working with spirit energies. Being the founder of the San Diego Paranormal Research Society, Nicole is no stranger to the unknown. Due to Nicole's vast knowledge of the paranormal, she is widely sought after for speaking engagements on topics like Children of the Paranormal, Paranormal Investigation 101 and 102, History of Spiritualism, and more. Not only does Nicole research the afterlife, but also writes about it, and is the author of several books pertaining to the paranormal and its history. Nicole has appeared on television shows like My Ghost Story, Travel Channel's Famously Afraid, Good Morning San Diego, and more. Have a conference or event coming up? Contact Nicole on her website, authornicolestrickland.com. That's authornicolestrickland.com.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. I actually was just talking to Torgan on break. And she's actually going to share some stories that she had when we were living in Minnesota. Because I don't know, there's something wrong with that whole state, in my opinion. But I'm going to let Torgan take it over real quick. So this will be fun.
Okay, so one thing I saw was I was just about to go up on the stairs. But before I did, I saw this like weird black figure with like a top hat and like a red ribbon on it, like red glowing eyes and a cape and like a wand, like he's a magician. But like it just kind of looked like his cape was waving, and it kind of looked like he was in a comic book for some reason. Let's see. Okay, this was actually at my school when I was in Minnesota, but so we actually had lockers in the classroom. And I was getting my stuff, and it was like before Christmas break. Our teacher had like this like decoration Christmas tree kind of thing. I just looked over there, and then it looked like there was this woman with like a long like white lace dress with kind of long sleeves, but it was like cut off kind of at the wrist, and like her face, she obviously wasn't smiling. She looked really young, like probably about like 17, 18, somewhere around there. Her hair was in a bun with the ribbon.
Okay, that's interesting. I will say that. Like I said, she does have things that follow her to. So she used to have things follow her to school, and we don't have to deal with that anymore because, like I said, she's really good about closing that book, and it's very easy to explain to children when they do have abilities that when you open that book, anything can come in. But when you tell them that we're done and you visualize, and I should say you should visualize it, and it's hard for kids to sit down and be like, I don't understand that. But to tell them, you visualize a book that's open, this magical book, and when you're just done talking to spirit, just close that book and visualize no more can come in. And that was a big thing for her, I will say. And it was something that it's not something that just can be mastered overnight. We still occasionally, I'm like, Torgan, you can shut it off, and she knows now, and it's something that we would have to talk to our 4-year-old eventually about. But I will say this, the house that we did live in Minnesota, we also had to valley. I didn't feel it. I know Torgan didn't feel it. There was supposedly a woman. There was 2 wells on that property, supposedly, and I'm saying supposedly because honestly, that's what this medium thought that was going on. There was this woman that passed away and she fell in the well or something on that order, and then I needed to dig up her remains. Honestly, that well was, I don't know. I didn't know anything about that well because that well had nothing to do with the actual well to the house. So I'm not sure where she got that. And that was because there was like 38 acres. And like I said, Torgan and I, we actually had to help train dogs. And I do know, and I will say this, I will never forget the time that we were out in those woods. We heard those drums. And for some apparent reason, there's a path in those woods. Like, it's hard to describe. There was a path. But the problem is we both looked at each other and we couldn't tell what direction we were in. It was like something just kind of just went through us, and you could just hear these drums beating, and we couldn't even tell where our house was or where the woods didn't even look the same anymore. And I'm trying to figure out, like, how did we even get here? And she's trying to figure this out. And I'm trying not to be scared. She's trying not to be scared. And, and again, you're in the woods, and it's probably about 10 o'clock at night, and you're hearing, and what you're hearing. And, you could tell, animals and stuff that's not there. But I do remember I just remember seeing a light, and I was like, oh, we got to go there. We got to go there. And I will tell you this, I've never seen a child race out of the woods as fast and just leave me there. Just leave me. She left me. Like, she couldn't get there. She's like, not happening, not happening. But like I said, she had to experience in that house. There was the bathtub or the bathroom. We had a full bathroom upstairs, only half bath downstairs. So obviously you showered and everything else upstairs. But the problem is nobody was up there that evening to shower or anything like that. And I remember her saying to me, hey, Mom, these are footprints. You remember that? There were footprints, like somebody just took a shower and they were just walking up and down the stairs. And you could tell because it was like wood floor. And I remember, like, again, as a mom, I'm an experienced stuff, and but we were both experiencing the same thing. We both seen it. And I think that was like the first time that we've ever actually been on the same page with something. I mean, don't you agree?
Yeah. Like, in the woods, I just left you. It was really scary. I do have to say, I did see like a Native American spirit. So I'm going to talk about that. So me and my best friend, we lived in the same state. We met in 2nd grade. She came over to my house like she usually does. And so behind the house, there's like stuff behind there. And there's actually a door in the kitchen. You could just open it, and then there would be like this, like, I don't even know what it is. But like you could step on it. It's kind of like a stage, kind of.
It's actually called a deck. Oh. It's called a deck. It's called a deck.
Sorry, I forgot it was called that. But like there was steps up there, and we weren't supposed to go on that because we could just fall, but we did anyway. I'm glad I did though, because I saw like this Native American spirit like in the house looking at me through the window in the door. I was like, oh my God. She was like obviously she had dark skin, and like her hair was just down, and it was like really straight. She gave me like a glare kind of look, like, what are you doing? And I was just like, oh my God, Avery, we got to go back now. I just saw something.
I do find that interesting. And, we can go back to the Native Americans. My mom, we lived, it was a lake. Okay. We lived on the lake. And my mom absolutely hated to spend time down at the lake. And I could never figure out why, because it was, during the summer, we had the dogs, the kids, you don't have a care in the world because it's, summer. And again, my mom hated it. And Torgan was kind of one of those things. It just it depended on her mood. It was kind of one of those things. My kids didn't swim in that lake a lot. There's something about that lake I didn't care for myself. I mean, I grew up as a child, learning how to ice skate there, how to swim in that lake. I mean, I was so excited that my kids were going to be able to do that. But the experiences that we had there, they were terrifying. I mean, even just for myself as, a medium and, and a paranormal investigator, I called in a whole nother team. I'm not going to lie to you. We called in a whole nother team because, again, we also like to validate what we're experiencing to say, hey, we're not crazy, because we had a different team that was in there. This guy, like, I've never seen somebody run out of a house right down the stairs as fast as he did. And I thought, you don't even have to live here. Like, I have children here. She's experiencing stuff here. And like I said, it wasn't just in the house. It was in the land. It kind of just made itself known all the time. And for a child who is just coming into understanding her abilities, not again, for just a person like me that's terrified, I can only imagine what it was like for her. So like I said, my mom didn't want to go to the lake either. Just to sit down there and, hang out, because she said that my mom is probably listening to it eventually, and she's going to be like, I'm going to kill you, Reeni, for saying this. But anyway, she said that this lady that she always hated that lake because she could see this Native American lady just running through and running through and running through, and like the same circle and the same circle. And she goes, and it scared her. So again, a question for everybody, because I'm going to try to wrap this up, is I was always told, and I believe this full-heartedly, that usually if a parent has abilities, I should say, usually the child does. I mean, would you say that, Torgan?
Yes, I would, because I heard that, like, you can carry genes from your parents. So I'm just like, that makes sense. Yes, you can carry a lot of genes. It doesn't even have to be like paranormal. It could be like maybe music or something.
Okay. Anyways, I had a lot of fun, and listening to her stuff. Obviously, I knew, all the cool stories that she had to say, and I know she got a little emotional on the other side there, talking about some of it. But we're gonna call it a night. And we want to thank you guys for listening to us ramble with each other about our stories and reminiscing. And thank you all for at least listening to an 11-year-old girl talk about, her experiences in the paranormal. And, I know she didn't kind of give us a whole lot of her abilities, because I kind of gave her, that whole thing. So I'm going to wrap it up tonight, and I want to thank Torgan for coming on, and I want to thank you all for listening, and all have a very, very safe Halloween. I was about to forget that. Very, very safe Halloween. Don't TP anybody's house. Don't egg anybody's house. You know who I'm talking about. Just don't do any of that. Be safe. And I will see you guys all next Friday.